Nick, thank you for joining us here.
Thank you, Russell, and I want to thank New Mexico in Focus for having me talk a little bit about my book, and perhaps more importantly, to shed some light on this fascinating, forgotten piece of New Mexico history.
Now, your book is called Crosses of Iron, the tragic story of Dawson, New Mexico, and its twin mining disasters. First off, tell me, what was Dawson, New Mexico? Who lived there?
Dawson was a company town run by Phelps Dodge and Company, purchased it in 1905 and ran it till 1950. Phelps Dodge was a import-export company based in New York that got into the copper mining business in Arizona and needed a steady supply of coke, which is a purer form of coal, to run its smelters. And after contracting with various companies, decided that they needed more control over it, and so they purchased Dawson in 1905. What they did, and they did this a little bit in Arizona as well, is they built what was considered a model company town. The houses weren't shacks, the living conditions weren't poor as they were in many other coal camps around the Southwest and around the country. And they came in and, they just built this remarkable town. They built a 1,000-seat opera house. And again, this is in the early 1900s, 1,000 seats at the time, the largest opera house in New Mexico. They built a large 3-story mercantile store that actually sent buyers to New York City to check out the latest fashions, and they would bring them back. Men's and women's fashions, and put on live fashion shows. And again, this is in a, what you would think is a coal town.
In October of 1913, there was a major disaster there in Dawson. Tell us what happened.
That was the first one, first of two actually, but this was the biggest. 1913, October 22nd, 261 miners and 2 rescue men ultimately ended up being killed. It still ranks today as the second deadliest mine disaster in U.S. history. The source of it was that during that afternoon, while this was a violation of state law and company rules, one of the miners who was working, put his blasting powder into the wall and decided to ignite it while everyone was in the mine. That really wasn't that uncommon. The miners in those days, for the most part, all were paid by the ton based on how much coal they were able to take out of the mine. And so this gentleman obviously was just trying to, just deepen his load so he'd be able to make more money when the coal went to the tipple. Unfortunately, he set the powder incorrectly, and what happened was, instead of the charge going into the wall and blowing out the coal so he could put it into his cart, it blew out into the mine, ignited the coal dust that was there, which is very, very flammable. And at that point, it was becoming more knowledgeable that was a safety issue in coal mines in America.
How did the nation respond to the disaster?
It was a national news story. I mean, this was carried in papers back on the East Coast through the Midwest, and because at the time most of the miners were European immigrants that had come here during the massive wave of immigration between 1880 and 1920. News of the disaster also went back to their villages, and newspapers in Italy and other countries carried news of the disaster.
Then 10 years later, there was another disaster. What happened there?
Yes, in that case, they were using electric cars to transport the coal and the miners back and forth into the mine, and for reasons that are still unknown. The car ended up going off the track, hit a post that carried the feeder line, the wires up top. Wires came down, hit the iron car, and created a spark. And that again ignited this coal dust in the mine. In that case, 120 people ended up dying. 2 gentlemen almost miraculously survived, walking out of the mine 16 hours later unhurt.
You mentioned that this was a place of European immigrants. It was also a place for Latino immigrants, Native Americans. It was a multiracial place.
Yes, it is.
And one of the most famous residents there was, of course, Dolores Huerta. She was born in this
Yes.
town. What was life like for her when she was born in this town and for her family?
She was there for a relatively short period of time. She told me that her family, she moved with her mother and her siblings after her parents separated when she was in first grade between Christmas and New Year's during that vacation. She had gone back a couple of times as a teenager. And, when I talked to her about that, because I knew that she really didn't remember anything much from being a child. And she said she always got a sense as, it was a happy place. I mean, obviously working in coal mines is an incredibly dangerous profession. At the time, one of the most dangerous around. But she always had good feelings going back and seeing relatives who were still there. And then I caught up with her again at the reunion last Labor Day weekend or whatever. And, she reiterated some of those, those same sentiments that, to her, this was a place where many nationalities came together. 16, 17 different European countries had workers there. But they all seemed to be able to work with a sense of harmony and created a, kind of a early cosmopolitan United Nations type community that you talk to people who were there, either were born there, went to school there, or had family members who were there, and they all tell the happiest stories that you can imagine.
Why did the mine eventually close, the mining town?
Over a period of time, conditions changed. When I first started doing research, it was almost like the old Miller Lite commercial, tastes great, less filling. On the one side, there was labor strife. On the other side, it was just the changing conditions, and as usually the case, the truth was somewhere in the middle. Dawson miners did join a lot of the national strikes that took place during the 30s and 40s, but there were other factors in play. Getting access to clean coal was getting more and more difficult. Phelps Dodge had conducted a drilling program 2 years before the mine closed, and that was generally deemed unsatisfactory. They had to go deeper and deeper into the mines, 3 or 4 miles, in order to find the coal beds to be able to bring the coal out. And one of the, I think, the more significant factors was that at that point in time, the major customer was the Southern Pacific Railroad. And around the late 40s or whatever, Southern Pacific converted from using coal to diesel, and that pretty much wiped out their major customer at the time.
And lastly, it's been 75 years since this town closed.
Mm-hmm.
What prompted you to write this book?
I came here, I moved to Albuquerque in June of 2013 to take a job at the Journal. My wife Susan and I came out here. And it turns out that October was the 100-year anniversary of the 1913 mine disaster. And as you would imagine, the Journal, the New Mexican, other media outlets all gave major play to this anniversary date. And there was just something that struck me about that, and I still don't know why to this day. It had an impression on me, but I started just like even then, just going online, doing research, trying to find out more about it. Part of it I think was just the sheer horror of this incident that occurred 3.5 hours from where I'm living now. Part of it may have had to do with the number of immigrants who was there. And there were like 3 dozen Greeks who got killed in the first explosion. My father came over here from Greece shortly after that, not to go to the coal mines, but to work in the steel mills of Gary, Indiana. So maybe that was part of it. But there was just something about the story, and the more I looked into it, what became almost even more interesting was the fact that when I was doing my research, it was like 70 years after the town had closed, that this Dawson community still existed. There's a very active Dawson Facebook page. There's a website that's very vibrant in terms of having some of the history, even keeping track of some of the people who have passed away. And these are reunions that the town closed in 1950. The first Dawson reunion took place in 1954 in Pasadena, California, where a number of people had gone after the town closed. And they continued for a few years in California. Eventually they came back to New Mexico. And since the early 1980s, the Dawson, New Mexico Association has gotten permission from the landowner, the ranch owner, to be able to, on the Sunday of Labor Day weekend, to hold their reunions there. And in the 80s, I'm told that there were, they came close to 2,000 people who would show up for these. I had an opportunity to go to my first last year. And even then, now this is like 73 years after the town closed, just shy of 600 people showed up. And they come with their pictures and their mementos and tell stories. And, it's just a remarkable experience to see that, this coal town that hasn't existed for almost 3/4 of a century, that the people who are associated with it, the people who live there, the descendants, still have this, this love for this community and for each other. And if there were any doubts whether I was going to pursue a book on this, I think that pushed me over the line almost as much as just trying to write a narrative history of the town and the two disasters.
Nick, thank you for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me.